issues.
Oh, just be honest. It was the makeup people. They were taking too long, you know.
But I think we got everything rolling now. So good evening, everybody. Uh, get my chat where I can see where I can scroll back. Man, y'all been chatting it up. Let's see what we got here. What's up, Jack? I like that stove cover, by the way. G'day, Chris. Who else we got in here? I think Jack and Chris been talking it up. Uh,
Oh my, yeah, I hadn't scrolled back yet.
Vince, welcome. You first time visitor for us today. Yeah, Jack and them got to comment early, so y'all had to get up early to beat them. Good
Let's
evening,
see.
Hobo. How are you, Hobo? I like that little gumball machine. That was pretty neat.
Yes, that was
Uh,
pretty cool.
what's up, Sharon? Dave Gross. There's Miss Sharon. Midnight Sunwork. Uh, that's a new name to me. Welcome. Or either I just forgot. I do forget. So if I forgot you, don't get your feelings hurt too bad because it's just my bad memory. Jack, Brian. Oh, Brian's here tonight. That's good. He's always good for comedic relief. Yeah, Jim. I'm at 19.3, trying to hit that 20. So if you're not a subscriber, guys, mash it. Trying to hit that 20K before. That would be really good if I could do it before Christmas,
Yeah,
especially
pretty
before
cool.
New Year.
Yeah. So if you're watching
Yep.
on my channel, don't leave. But I've got a link down there to Clax. I've got him tagged there. So go ahead and hit up his channel, hit that subscribe button, and then just ignore it and come back to my channel.
Yeah, just don't do notifications. Yeah. Well, hey, it is what it is. Like I said, it's just a number. I know that, but when I look at my statistics, I'm like 60 something percent unsubscribed and 30
Oh yeah,
percent subscribed. So it's like,
yeah,
man, we could do better. We could do a little better.
yeah.
Uh, what's
That
up,
is true.
Tom, Darren, Et? What up? Mike Soy from Ohio. I think they're closer to you than they are me, or maybe they're right in the middle. Uh,
Well, I mean, they're a little south and east of me.
yeah.
I've been there a
So
number of
they're
times. It's yeah, they're closer to me. It's easier for me to drive to Ohio than it is to Alabama.
yeah. Jim said Steve did his hair today, looking nice.
Well,
Uh,
honestly, it's because I was wearing a stocking hat out here half the day. You
got
know,
it beat down.
I don't know if people. I posted a quick little thing on my Facebook page of I was out here yesterday and then walked outside and it was snowing and I didn't appreciate that. So then it
Ah,
snowed yesterday, snowed a little bit overnight, and so I had turned the heat down in here a little bit, and it was a little chilly in here this morning. It's low 50s, so I had a little hat on and was warming
mm,
things up and doing some work. So
cool.
that's why
Well,
there's no ball cap.
it was a little cool in here this morning. I think it was 66 when I got in here, so I had to turn the heat on a little bit, but
I'm surprised you didn't
it
turn
wasn't
the air
bad.
conditioning on.
What's up, Greg? Long time listener, first time caller, he says. Appreciate you commenting there. Good to have you. Mark, how are you? Tig, welcome back. Jason, you hadn't been around. Well, I think he was here last week, but Jason's been kind of in and out on us here lately. North Alabama's here tonight. Mike Lawson, hello from Kentucky. Well, hello there, neighbor. I know where Kentucky is, Steve. They're closer to me. Splash Mats, coastal Mississippi. All right, down there in the around Biloxi area, I'm assuming, probably. There's not a whole lot of coastal Mississippi. It's kind of like Alabama. When you say coastal Alabama, you're talking about Mobile because we don't have a whole lot of coastline. Uh, Illinois had some snow today, apparently, according to midnight. Woo, Lord, I'm trying to stay caught up, guys. Ryan Kitty, hello from Michigan, Detroit, up there in that area, I guess. I know, Michigan's a big state, but yeah. Got snow. Sherry says she got some snow. Welcome, Don. Keith Klein,
Yep.
good evening.
Gordon's
Woo.
saying they got 9 inches in western Nebraska. You know, we
Yeah,
got snow, and it was maybe an inch or two of fluffy stuff. It
yeah.
didn't take. I'm not ready for 9 inches of snow yet, even though it's
Yeah.
seasonal for it.
I've
I'm
never
just enjoying this
seen
life.
9 inches of snow. I've never seen 3 inches of snow. That's one of those things I want to go see when I retire. I'm gonna come up and visit with Steve and shovel snow. I've never shoveled snow. Uh,
Okay.
one of your guys from over on your side of the channel there, Verl, North Dakota, the North Dakota the banana belt. He said just like Minnesota, bananas. Y'all don't grow bananas up there, do you?
Well, indoors maybe.
Wow, a lot of comments. Juliet, Illinois has got some snow. Sup, Jim Shelton, Rick Dutton, Terry Brown. Woo. Yeah, it's getting busy, guys. I'm trying to keep up. Mark, Lower Alabama. Yeah, that's typically what LA abbreviation means over here. Brad Ham, hello to you again. I know Brad's been here before. Lost Soul, Fowlerville, Michigan. I guess that MI is Michigan,
Yep.
right? don't tell
So
don't tell my teachers.
is there like a cultural thing there with Lower Alabama or something I should be aware of?
No, it's just that's like when everybody around here is where you from. It's from L.A. Oh, California? No, Lower Alabama. It's just an inside joke. Oh, there's Eddie from Japan. I think Eddie's got well, I don't know. Well, I keep forgetting Chris and them's on the other side. I don't know. Yeah, I guess Australia and Japan would be probably unless you go from Hawaii. I guess from where I'm at, both of them are pretty far away anyway. But well, Midnight Sun, I just at least want to be able to say that at one time in my life I shoveled snow. Because if as long as I stay in Alabama, I will never shovel snow unless we have another ice age. So that's where I'm at. We are supposed to have 32 or 30. Was it 35 maybe tonight? So, you know, they're saying within this sometime this week we're going to get down into the 20s. So there's a possibility we might get some snow. But if we get some snow, guys, there'll be pictures and video because we don't ever get that here. There'll probably be drone video because I like flying my drone in the snow. We don't ever see it, so I've got some pretty cool video footage. Whew. But how is everybody tonight, and what y'all got going on? Steve, you've been racking out some videos past 3 or 4 days. Been blowing up my
Mhm.
feed.
Yep.
So what you got going on over at your shop over there today?
Well, well, obviously I had a few days off work. Hopefully most people did. If you're here in the U.S., you got at least some time off. I know a lot of people do end up having to work between retail and emergency services and other things. So bless you all for had to work during this weekend. But I had 4 days off and fully took advantage of them to um, spend some time out here in the shop. Even snuck out here in between making some food. We had a later meal with some of my family for Thanksgiving, so I had some time out here and yeah, getting caught up on some projects and some other fun things to do that as well. So I put out the video on the IKEA 2448. It's a Pro Max version, and that one was it was interesting. That's the first kind of dual power one, and the idea there is that when you flip the switch, it kills half of the diodes from getting power, and then it shrinks down that focus beam, but you get half the wattage. So it did some tests between the two of them as far as engraving and cuts, how they would work. Then did some shear cutting power on the 48 watt setting, but then also did some kerf tests to really test that out. So some interesting things there. So if you haven't, check out that video. It's kind of a cool idea with switching modules. I don't know that it's unless you're really needing that extra detail, I would feel I'd leave that laser in the 48 watt most of the time myself, because if you're just doing like vector engraves, you're not going to be as worried about the detail. But if you're doing a lot of photorealistic stuff, that could matter. And then put out a fun little vectorization, multi-layered Thanksgiving little project there. Some ideas on taking those and making them, how you can stack them up, and then playing around with the acrylic paint pens. These are one of my new best friends. They were kind of fun to play with.
I
So
told you those guys were pretty cool.
yeah, and then I had also received the I know a lot of people had asked our opinions on some of the IR modules, and so I had the opportunity to test the one from Longer, and so put that on the B1 frame and did some things such as engraving this slate tile with this little Christmas owl, and it's not fast. This has a really tiny focus size. They say it's like 0.03 millimeters square. So you can really crank up the detail on it. But of course, anytime you do that, you're going to take some more time. And so it did take a while to do this, but did play around with that on a few different materials and such. And, I think right now during the Black Friday sales, that module is down under $400. So if you're not wanting to pay for, a fiber, even like the cow markers or the F1, they're up there $1,500, $2,000. This gets you that ability to mark some metals and play around with that. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I've been cranking out some content there, trying to get caught up on things, doing more, playing with the P2. I will say I've been playing with some speed tests on here, and I don't have them handy, but I've been really, really surprised at the speed of this thing because I'm used to my 60-watt CO2 laser, so I kind of
Yeah.
figured it was going to be on par with that, but it's even blowing that away. Now that it's
So,
7-8
so
years
are you are
newer.
you are you saying that there's a 60-watt laser about to be on marketplace in the Minnesota area?
Well, it may be. It doesn't quite have the working area, so this one is like 12 by 24 on the P2. The larger one I have isn't that much bigger. It's about 27 wide and I think about 17 and a half, 18 inches deep. So
Mm.
it does lose a little bit of size, but this thing is also a lot less smaller. So I'm still I like to reserve my impressions on it till I really get a chance to play with it some. So that's why I've been kind of just.
Sounds like the initial's pretty good though.
I mean, my initial impressions are good, but my experience shows me to gut check my initial reactions, whether they're bad
Yeah.
or good, and just make sure they're being consistent. And so that's why I've been kind of trickling out some content on that, and I'll have more. I've got another video I'm going to launch tomorrow about replicating a part using a camera. I actually use it to. There's this airplane sitting right back there. I had a
Yeah.
part inside that I needed to fix, and so basically I walked through taking a photo of that part, bringing it into Lightburn, drawing up the part, making adjustments, and so that'll be
Cool.
coming out tomorrow. So yeah, I've definitely been busy out here, and also spent some time building a quick kind of workbench cart. I didn't film any of that because I just needed to get it done because I needed some more organization and space. But that
Trying to get some stuff out of the floor. I hear you on
well,
that.
I didn't. I shouldn't store things on my table saw. I shouldn't store things on my CNC. Because then it's a pain to use them. So
I was fixing to
yeah.
say, if you're storing things on your table saw, you need to do more woodworking projects because I've
Well,
tried that. I can't ever keep anything on there very long.
no, I
Uh,
mean that's it. It's especially this one. It's such a nice big flat surface, so it makes it's good to like. I built the frames for my workbench on there, so I knew they would come out flat and level.
all right, that's a mess. And next thing you know, he's gonna have like a glass top on it. It'll be his installation assembly table.
No, no,
But
that's what I got to move
ET
this for.
I did a quick once over with it, but so far running air assist all the time, I haven't had a problem with it getting too dirty. As far as a good thorough cleaning, taking breaking it down and really cleaning it, I haven't done that yet. I probably need to because I did me and Klein brought some tumblers over here the other night. We did tumblers on it, and so I probably need to, and I plan on doing a video when I do it, when I figure out how to do it. You probably won't see me initially take it apart because I haven't found any videos on cleaning it yet. But yeah, so far it stayed pretty clean. Like I said, I did kind of touch it up and hit the important places, the lenses and stuff like that. Made sure that the rails were still clean and free of debris, and I vacuumed it out with the shop vac. So it's got a once over, but as far as a thorough cleaning, I have not done that yet. Uh, so here's another question. This is something that you addressed in a video.
Hmm.
So if you want to, if you want to take this one, I'll let you take it, and they can go check your video out too if they want more information.
Sure. Yeah. So I did a lot of testing, and this was actually with the xTool F1 because I was able to test both using the blue diode laser as well as the IR, and I ran it through three different styles. One was just the bare slate tile. One was sanded tile with no coating, and then one was with some matte finish polyurethane on it, spray on polyurethane. Now, I didn't address this in the video of doing it before or after. I have tried spraying it on after, and I've found that always mutes the engraving. It lowers the contrast. So what I actually do is I spray the sealer on first, and and then engrave it, and it kind of gives you a bit more of a brilliant contrast. The slate tile looks a little bit darker, the white looks a little bit brighter. When I've sprayed it afterwards or I've tried various oils and other things, it just always mutes it down. So if you're going to do it, I would do it before you engrave, and the only reason you would really do that is for the looks. Now there are people who are going to argue that you're taking away the absorbent nature of the slate tile, and that is true to a point. But slate's also not very absorbent. It is slightly. So when you put the sealer on it, it's more that the water is going to probably bubble, or not bubble, but what it's
Got a
going to do
bead.
is bead. There you go, and sit there, and so it may not act like a true coaster should to absorb that. Um, but when I'm engraving them, it's more because it's decorative than it's going to be used a whole lot. So, really comes down to being a personal preference kind of thing. So give it a shot. Um, Test it out. You can always sand them down. Now, when you finish them and you get it on the edges, it's hard to take that off. But that's one nice thing with slate tiles is you can, if you screw them up, you can reuse them a couple times till they get too thin. So do a little playing.
Yeah, and I dropped the link to the video down below in the comments if anybody wants to watch that. You put
Nice.
that. You can go ahead and queue that up and put it on your to-do list. But it's a pretty in-depth video on the different ways of doing it. That's why you hadn't seen me put out one. I just send people over to watch Steve's video. But that's he kind of shows you the different results that you'll have doing it the different ways. But like Steve said, it all comes down to what kind of look you're going for and just kind of a personal preference type thing. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up on these comments. All right, Sharon. Yeah, yeah. You can actually with XCS, you can run it. I run my S1 on Wi-Fi all the time using XCS. So if you're on a computer, uh, like a laptop or whatever, you can run the most of the S1, most of the xTool machines that I've had, you can run them on Wi-Fi
Hmm.
as long as you're using XCS.
Yeah, you gotta set it up initially with the USB, but then it's a nice thing is you'll be able to enter in your wireless information. So I've been running the P2 that way, which is nice because it's not that far away, but I don't have to have it cabled up.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, you might want to create you a reminder to clean that fan every now and then. I thought I saw something living in there when you posted that picture today. It looked pretty bad. I don't know if you saw it, Steve. It's in the laser engraver
Yeah,
community page. It looked like a squirrel built a nest in his fan.
yeah, um, yeah. Been there, done that. All of a sudden things don't work right, they don't sound right, and it's a harder. You always kick yourself for letting it get that full because it's harder to clean up.
Yeah. Well, I think we about got caught up. Here's one that you may be able to address. Uh,
Uh, so I mean, the process is pretty much the same. What it is, what's going to be different is that you're going to need to account for usually a smaller dot size. So you're probably going to increase your DPI, and that may mean a little extra processing because you're going to have a little more detail in there. You might need to play with your highlights and your contrast a little bit more. but the process is generally the same. But each each laser kind of likes its own profile of, I need to tweak the photo this much. So um, that's where doing a few tests on that. I usually try to, when I do my tests, I'll do the vector engrave to kind of get my gradient scale, and then I'll do a few of like I'll take a Stucky photo and do it at like 60%, 70%, 80%, things like that to really dial in the power and speed settings there. But as far as processing it, it's going to be pretty much the same.
Somebody was asking me. The, yeah, the aluminum. Have you tried any aluminum with one of those? I know you've got the IR dot module that you just got through testing.
Yes, I might have the piece handy. One second.
I know I've done it with a fiber, but I haven't tried one of the IR modules. So I don't want to speak to something that I haven't tried.
Oh, wait. It's back over here. I found
And
it.
let's see, Ken. I just right before the live started got the jig kit put together and put on my Etsy shop. But yeah, I did fail to go back and put a link in there once I got it on the Etsy shop. But I just did that. But if you see the video come out about my jig file system, jig system for the S1, there is a link in the bottom of that video as well. But I just went back and corrected the one for the mirrors and added the jig kit. But I had to go through and make some changes because instead of just doing it in Lightburn with this file, I had to do it in Lightburn, and then I had to take everything, move it over into XCS, and I used the way that it has different canvases and kind of broke the file into different canvases so that you could basically open one file and just go to the next canvas and hit cut and so forth, so on. So I kind of had to create two files instead of just one with this one. But I did design an XCS uh, file for it, and I also threw in the makings. The kit will also have an XCS file that will work with the 4-inch coaster jig setup as well as the business card one that I made. Those are just kind of freebies just to get you started, so you can just add another canvas and create more jigs and stuff. But go ahead, Steve. I was
All
trying to
right.
fill time
So
while you look for it.
if you can see this, of course, I've got some horrible reflection in there, but it's it's kind of basically a gradient of gray to white.
Yeah.
And so down in the lower corner there, you're getting a little more gray, and I would call it gray. And then all the way up to where it's just barely marking here. So you're not going to get a lot of color variation, but what you are going to be able to get is some fairly brilliant whites in the middle there and a few shades of gray. So as long as the logo will fit in with that, you can make a few variations. But on bare metal aluminum like this, you know, you'll see it, but it's not necessarily going to stand out depending on the light that you're in. So
Yeah.
that's about what it'll do for aluminum. And this is without any coating or anything, but that was that 2-watt IR module.
So it's basically the same results you get with a fiber. It just takes a little longer because that looks a lot like
Yeah.
what I can do with aluminum on the fiber.
Yep.
Hello. Oof, I'm gonna mess this one up. Bawavina, rolling pin. How are you there? Waving a pink hand. Here we go. With Lightburn, does it matter if constant power is on or off when cutting with a diode laser? All right, DJ. Constant power with every diode I have tested, and I've tested close to 30 diode machines so far. I have not found one that needs constant power so far. The only reason you would need constant power is if you ever see that your laser is cutting really well in the straightaways, and then as it turns, it's not cutting in the corners. You might want to look at doing that. The only time I've ever had to use constant power was cutting some stencil material, which is kind of semi-transparent, on my CO2, for some reason, it was when it would make the turns, it would power down too much and it wouldn't punch through the stuff. And so I set that particular file to constant power. But that is the only one material that I've ever found that I had to run constant power on any machine. But as far as the diode, if you run constant power on a diode, what you'll end up seeing is as the machine's going back and forth, the laser stays at the same temperature regardless of whether the gantry slows down. So what you'll end up with is you'll notice that on either side of, if you're drawing a square, on either side the edges are going to be crispy and the middle is going to be kind of where you wanted it. So I would avoid constant power on a diode unless you find an application to where you need it because it's not doing well in the corners or whatever. Where you at on that one, Steve?
Yeah, constant power mode is probably going to get you into more issues, especially cutting, because generally what it's trying to do is ramp down the power as it slows down to make those turns and such. So it's trying to balance that already. About the only time you might want to run constant power is in like a vector engrave with overscanning on, if you're getting some weirdities at the edges. Um, and then you generally are going to need to bump your overscanning up a little bit more. But yeah, I've never I've never found a reason to turn it on with the diodes. A couple of CO2s where I was struggling with it actually reducing the power too much for the turns. But other than that, I can't say I've had any experience where I've needed it.
Yeah, same here. Now I did get a friend from Klein the other day because he was burning Christmas ornaments, like doing some real fine detail, and in every corner it looked like a fire almost broke out. And I think I was in church or something when he was trying to call me, and I didn't answer the phone. And so when he finally got in touch with me, he was frustrated and mad and was like, "I'm ready to just pack this stuff up." And I'm like, "What is it?" And he showed it to me, and I'm like, "Why are you running constant power?" And he's like, "I'm not." And then he looked, he's like, "Oh crap." So
Yeah.
constant power, especially in those with those real thin, real detailed Christmas ornaments and stuff, you will French fry crispy the corners of them when it starts to turn if you're not careful because it's going to get way too hot in them corners. But yeah, watch out for that thing. And I don't know what it is, but it's like everybody that you buy a file from Etsy and download it to your machine, they've got it on. I don't get that. I bought a file the other day that I was doing some stuff with, and every layer had constant power on, and I don't know why that is. But yeah, avoid that one. Jason said he's getting him a Com Marker 4 pretty soon, so I think you'll enjoy that. I've had good luck with mine, and it's held up well. How about yours, Steve? You're still performing good?
Yeah, actually, now that I've got this extra workbench area opened up, I'm hoping to get that set up over I'm kind of making my laser command station here, like you have, where
Yeah,
I can kind of connect things a little bit easier, have a few things set up more permanently, because that's been my problem recently. I've been shuffling, I've been changing things, and
yeah,
trying to figure out where I want stuff. And when you don't have a place for your machine to just reside so you can use it all the time, uh, it makes it harder to use it. So that's one of my goals here is that I'm going to get that set up over here where I can use it more often. And I'm excited to do that. You and I were talking recently about trying to maybe, I'd like to do some comparisons for people wondering, is the F1 worth it? What's the difference over, even a modest fiber laser? Be able to maybe speak to that a little bit more. Because the xTool F1 is a Galvo style laser, but it's still a two watt IR, so it's much less power than even like the 20-watt com marker. But
yeah,
they are very fun to play with. You just got to be mindful of it's a very open laser. There's not as far as the fumes and the light, you got to be a little more mindful of that. So
yeah. Uh, Et, you're not blocked from chat. Now it's taking me a minute to get caught up on all this stuff. So if we miss something, drop it again. You're not going to upset us or make us mad because it's hard to keep up sometimes with these things scrolling by as fast as they are and trying to answer the questions that come along. And multitasking sometimes is not my strong suit. Welcome to you there, Super Duty, David Allen. Good name. Uh, Hobo, no, my We Creates worked fine since I've got it. I think I've seen a lot of people saying that theirs was bad, and I talked to Rich and said he had some problems, but So far, I haven't had any problems. I guess I got a like Wednesday morning uh, machine instead of a Monday or a Friday machine because mine was put together and worked. It's still working well, so I can't complain about it so far.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, mine came in, and I've been starting to play with it a little bit. I did have a couple of things that looked like they some screws that tried to back out in shipment and such, so I had to tighten a few things back up. Like, but I mean, my 60-watt eBay laser, man, I went through all the wiring, all that. I mean, I had wires, you know, 120-volt wires that were loose in the inside of this thing. So I'm kind of used to that. It's
yeah,
unfortunate, but when these things get shipped halfway around the world and such, bounce around on ships and trucks and everything, sometimes you do that. So um,
yeah.
but it is working. I'm working with them on my biggest thing right now is they did release a new version of their what is it, the We Create Vision, or no, their software anyway.
Create or we create. I can't
Um,
remember what it's called.
Make It is what it's called. We Create Make
Yeah.
It. Uh, they did launch a new version that includes a camera calibration, basically an auto tool that does it. But it keeps failing on it for me, and so I'm trying to work with them on why is it failing and trying to make sure that my camera's dialed in a little bit. So, of course, over the weekend they're off, so I'm hoping to hear from them maybe tonight and be able to work with that. But it is
Yeah.
working, it's functioning. I'm just trying to get that camera calibrated a little bit better, and then be able to do more with it.
Yeah, mine was off when I first got it, but after they pushed out that first patch, it it fixed itself. Last time I used it, it was actually
Hmm.
pretty close. Da, 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 da. As far as fonts goes, if you download fonts from say Google Fonts, Adobe, or wherever, once you've installed the font package onto your machine, if you'll close Lightburn completely, make sure all your windows of Lightburn are closed, open it back up, it should automatically detect those and add them to your list of fonts. Now, keep in mind, some fonts, if you download them, may be for private use only, la la la, but any font that is saved on your machine that is available to other programs will be imported into Lightburn when it launches. So I had to buy a font the other day because sometimes I get customers that they have their special font that they like, and so I have to buy them and download them, or go to a free font place and find it and download it. But yeah, it's it's very versatile when it comes to Lightburn. Jason, me and Steve both have the 20 watts. So as far as comparing a 20 to a 30, you got me. The 20 does everything I need to do and does it relatively fast. So I don't have any desire to run out and get a 30 right now. What do you think, Steve?
Um, no, I mean I'm with you. The 20 has done pretty much anything I've tried to do with it. Obviously, if it's in your budget, uh, it's hard to go wrong with more power. I don't think that you're going to lose detail as maybe you would with diodes. So, um, I it was kind of this way when I was looking at my first CO2 is that I wanted to. Um, I was initially looking at those little K40s, and then all of a sudden, oh well, let's get a little more power, let's get a little more size. Eventually, you just got to jump in and get something and start playing with it. But also, you know, if you can, you're always going to have an excuse where you need a bigger working area or more power. It seems, pick the tool, and it's more often that you wish you had more power than less. So if it's in your budget and you're thinking you might need it, it's going to be easier to buy it up front than have to upgrade.
Yeah, I've seen where they've got their where they've got their little instructions and stuff, and I plan to look at that before I do mine. But sometimes those aren't as easy to follow as others. So I don't ever count my chickens before they hatch on that. I'll look at it and then I'll go about it and see how hard it is, and probably do my own version and do a little walkthrough just for those folks that may not be able to follow. Because sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I haven't really looked at theirs to see how in depth it goes. Mark's wanting to know what the depth of focus is on the IR module that you tested. I know they're very sensitive to focal length. but he wants to know what the focal depth is.
Um, I'm not sure they actually spelled that out, and that was one thing with this one is it came with a one sheet of like here's how to hook it up, but there wasn't a lot of documentation with it. They are calling that it is a point zero 0.03 millimeter square focus spot size, and generally I want to say what it's like maybe 2 millimeters of focal depth on these things, if that. So I didn't do necessarily like a ramp test to see how quickly it would fall in or out of focus. So that might be something to look at. But yeah, there's honestly not a lot of extra information on this at the time from
Yeah.
them or anywhere else. So I can't necessarily say with any authority on that.
Yeah, Jason, on the fiber, most of what I do on it, I have done some plastics and stuff like that that you would definitely want to make sure you had it enclosed and ventilated with. But most of what I do on the fiber is going to be anodized or bare metals, and I just usually use it. I don't know if you can see it or not, sitting right there beside it with the little hose reached over to it. That's just the Comgrow. They call it an air purifier, but guys, it's not going to purify it, but it does get a lot of the small debris and the stuff like that out of it. I had to clean the filter in it the other day, and it is catching a lot of debris. So it helps with that type of stuff, especially when you're doing brass and metallic things. You don't necessarily want all those little tiny microscopic pieces of metal floating around everywhere. So I use that guy when I'm using it. But putting it in some kind of a tin enclosure, I don't think would be a bad idea for ventilation. But just keep in mind that whatever you put it in, unless the cover is rated for IR, make sure you still wear your glasses. And I have ordered me, Steve. I finally found a pair of glasses that look like these that cover both blue diodes and fibers. So
Yep.
instead of having to swap, I'm going to have one pair now.
Well,
So
there's actually a set there like a big goggles. You could
no,
have
no,
gotten
no,
those.
no. I've saw those, Steve, but they finally Free Mascot has finally
Yeah,
made a set of these that look like
yeah,
these, except they're a different tinge of orange, but they're rated for both the blue diodes as well as the fibers. And
yeah.
I've got them on a truck somewhere headed this way.
I think I noticed those when I was looking at those the other day because someone was
Yeah,
asking me for the link, and I was like, oh, they've got some extra styles out there. So
yeah. The only ones they had before were those ones that look like you were going scuba diving, like so. And I don't need to cover glasses, so But yeah, those will be here hopefully this coming up week. That way, because I do have to, like sometimes guys, I'll be out here in the shop and this is literally what I look like. Because when I walk from one machine to the other, I have to
I mean, it's a good look.
so so this way I won't have to be swapping glasses all the time. But yeah. ET, if you're trying to put links in here, no, you cannot drop links in the live. Only myself, Steve, and any of the moderators that might be added to it can do that. And that's just to keep the spam bots from inundating you guys with free vector files and all that good stuff. Uh, so, uh, so I apologize for that. I know it's an inconvenience to the guys that are trying to use it the right way, but as soon as we turn it on to where everybody can drop links, you guys will be getting like free trips to the Bahamas and everything else.
Mhm.
Uh, Free giveaways, you name it. What do you got one of the Sane Smarts, didn't you? Somebody's wanting to know what to think about the Sane Smart laser. I thought you got one of those.
Yeah, I had the what is it, the LC50? Yeah, LC50. I think it was a 10 watt. Um, Decent laser for a 10 watt. It's actually not square. It's a little bit wider than it is deep. So, which I mean, it was okay. It made it not really fit into any typical enclosure. Um, but I didn't have any problems with it. It was fairly basic. I don't think it had auto air or anything on it, but it performed well. Um, no bells and whistles. I think they've recently come out with a newer, updated one as well.
Yeah,
So
they had
I'd have
sent
to,
me an email about one that was like had the enclosure on it and everything, but I never heard back from
sure,
them. So,
yeah.
Yearly, yes, that is a 4040 Pro over there. I'm looking at getting a bigger one, a bigger laser, bigger CNC. Sane Smart makes a bigger one, but they decided to send it to Steve, who already had a bigger CNC. So I'm still in the market. I've actually some of you guys in here, and Jack, if you're still here, Jack mentioned the long mill, and so I've been watching a lot of those guys' videos. And it's a small company out of Canada that makes it, and they've got some interesting stuff that they're working on.
Mhm.
So I've kind of been looking at that one because it is economical, and I'm on a budget here. But I sent them an email just basically trying to tell them what I wanted in the package and get them to work me up a price and see where we're going to land. It's going to be hard for me to get. Steve should definitely work for Onefinity because he's about sold me on that thing. But I'm wanting to get a. Well, see, they have a 48 by 32,
Yeah.
Steve, and and the price is unbelievable. So I sent him an email just basically saying, "Hey, this is what I'd like to have. Uh, you know, what what would my price be?" And so I'm waiting to hear back from that. And if I can get that, I may give it a go because I've watched a lot of their videos and like I said, they're small business folks, uh, and I like supporting them when I can, but I got to make sure it's going to be able to do what I want to do. So I'm having to video to make sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, that 48 wide. I mean, that's basically where my Onefinity is the 48 by 32, and
yeah.
it. I don't use it very often, the whole width, but it is really nice to have that capacity, and I think you would enjoy it, and allow you to, you know, look at bigger projects. I mean, the fact that you have your sawmill and you have ready access to some hardwood that you can create yourself, that just opens up a lot of real like quick build furniture type things for shelves and things you can do with that. So
Yeah, and that's what I'm wanting the 48 for. I really
yeah,
don't need it. I don't need 48 by 48, but 48 by 32 would allow me because my planer is only good to 13 inches.
yeah, yeah.
And I can cut a slab 22 inches wide on the mill. So I could cut a 22-inch wide slab, 2 inches thick and 48 inches long, and flatten it using the CNC and do whatever I wanted to. So that's that's something I'm looking at. And I even thought about maybe I could even build me up a roller system to where I could almost use it like a planer, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, I
Uh,
mean, you can use the CNC in a flattening bit. You just got to jig your slab or whatever flat one
yeah.
side, flip it over, and now So if it's wider, as long as it fits on your CNC, then yes, you can still flatten them out.
Oh yeah. Well, I clicked on I clicked on a comment, but I think it's the wrong one. You have to make sure you set your default for your layers when you're doing all that because they will change if you open up another project. It will change the layers a lot of times. So,
I think that's the one you were trying to click
uh,
on, isn't it?
yeah, I got 10. Actually, I got eight.
See,
I got 8 hens, one guinea because I can't keep guineas, and a rooster.
and and you say you're bad at math.
Well, I have to count them because you got to count them when you go check on them to make sure you don't got a varmint problem. Because I have one up there before and had like 10, and then you got 9, and the next day got 8. It's like,
So
wait a minute, we got a problem.
so is that the reason you're capped at 10? Is you got to count them?
No, it's just right now that's where I'm at because I hadn't. In the spring I'll have much more, but they don't replicate in the fall. If you're feeling me, they replicate in the spring. In the spring I could have 30 if I wanted to, but I only allow them to have one clutch of eggs to hatch, and then I donate the roosters to people, and then I keep what I need. Yeah, yearly there are some. They have pictures. I'm missing something. Uh, they are offering some machines now that switch from 24 to 48. I think several manufacturers are doing so. Somebody, I done missed it now. I saw somebody ask me something about a Rolly up here somewhere, and we somehow or another I got past it.
Yeah.
Probably when I was typing.
So, someone was asking if we had tested them yet.
No, I have not. But where was it? Where did it go?
So race to see if we can find it.
Anyway, I don't know what the question was because I can't find it. My gosh, there's a bunch of comments. Hold on. It may be up in here somewhere. I don't know what the question was, but if you asked a question about a Rolly, I did get an email last week. I have the new Rolly 30-watt coming. I think it's on a FedEx truck now. I got a FedEx notification, And I don't know of anything else I have coming. And according to the FedEx shipping manifest, it says it weighs like 48 to 50 pounds. So I'm guessing that is what it is. I'm not sure. Uh, so, oh yeah, there we go. Good thing you found it. But Robert, I haven't tested it yet, but as soon as it gets here, I plan to because I've talked with Rich over at Louisiana Hobby Guy. Excellent resource for you guys that are trying to learn light burn. By the way, he's like the king of light burn. Uh, so from what Rich is telling me and from what I've seen on his videos, and I've talked to Steve over at Hobo with Wood, I think I'm going to like the machine. It has some very, very unique features that nobody else has done. Case in point, I just got through, finally figured out a way to make the S1 be able to do, 4 coasters at a time or 6 business cards at a time without having to take and click the corner, click the corner, click the corner. Click. So I finally figured out a way to fix that, and I've got it working so I can actually use it for batch jobs instead of just cut jobs now. So I'm really happy about that. But from what I've heard, the Rolly, they did the work for me. So, and from what I was told, I'm getting the Rolly as well as this jig panel thing that they've come up with, which I'm assuming is going to be similar to what I do, but it's going to be built into the machine, which is awesome. So as soon as it gets here, I will be. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'll probably be testing it uh, before I even get a chance to check it out real good. I'll get it out of the box and be testing it. So we'll see how it goes. But I'll bring you guys along, I'm sure. ET, no, I called her the other day. I got them to her. Me and May Mace, I love her. First of all, I love her. She's my friend. But she wanted them by Black Friday, so I texted her after Friday. I'm like, hey, is the secret out? Can I release it? And she's like, no, we're not in the office until Monday. We're not in the store. So hopefully Monday she'll get around to revealing what it is, and at that time I'll be able to share the video with you guys and maybe even do like a little quick go over what it was with you. But no, May she's still got it classified right now.
Here's an interesting one because you have experience with the S1 and I've been working with the P2. Wondering which one would be better as far as looking to cut wood faster. It's got the 8 or 20 watt, cuts 3
I would
millimeter
hope
faster.
a 55 watt CO2 would cut wood faster. I would hope. What kind of speeds are you getting out of it?
So, all right, you're gonna make me grab these. Let's see here. So, these were some tests I ran on my recent video where I was talking about doing setting up these files in Creative Space. This is 3 millimeter Baltic birch, so it's going to be a little more dense, and it's got multiple layers. And it's cutting at it's topping out here even at 40 millimeters a second. So if you're looking at millimeters a minute, wow, you're going to want to multiply that by 60. And the interesting thing that I've been finding with this is if you look at the back, and you're gonna do weird things to that thing. They're actually cutting through almost these, except for the start-stop position.
Huh.
So if it had just kind of burned a fraction of a second longer, more of these would have dropped out.
Maybe you need constant power mode, Steve.
Well, I'm running an XCS, and there's certain things you can change or not. And then I had a lighter weight plywood. I was getting through at 50 millimeters a second. So yes, if the CO2, the 55 watt P2 is going to be faster. However, that comes at a cost of another $1,500 or more to buy. It's got the chiller in it. You've got to maintain, a few extra things. So there's definitely a cost to gain that speed. Plus, then you can work with all types of acrylic and such. The other thing that I would note, and I kind of touched on this in my video as well, this is the engraving side of it. So it goes from very, very faint up in this corner, right there, to really dark but this is actually for 3 millimeter material. This is actually 1.5 millimeters into it, so it's going really deep to get
Might have
that
went a
dark.
little hot on that, Steve. Might should have
Well,
changed the range on that.
uh, well, I mean, but to get those darker colors, you've got to go slower and whatnot like that. Whereas I think a diode will give you those darker colors without as much depth. I think
Yeah.
just the way they burn, you get and the other nice thing too. I don't know that I have a piece to show. Well, maybe I can on this. So this is a star cut out from that Baltic birch, and if you look at the edge, if I can get it to try to focus on that, that is the caramelization you get. It is very, very clean. Whereas with a lot of the diodes, they tend to be a bit darker. I think that just the way they burn is a little bit different. So some slight differences in the quality of the cut you're going to get with them.
And a big price tag difference.
Yep.
Chris, I mean, the only negative I see is if you've got a machine in there that's not running and you got both of them in the same box, then both of them are going to be experiencing all the smoke and fumes all of the time, except other than when they're running on their own. So basically, you're going to even idle time is going to cause you to have to clean the machine. So that would be the only downside I would see to it. As far as building them in the same box, I don't think putting them in the same box would be as much of an issue as long as you had separate ventilation coming from each box with maybe a partition between the two machines. If you had it where you open it from the front and you had right partition for one, left partition for the other one, and then you would have to have, of course, two hoses, one going into each side, feeding into the main output. Uh, because if not, you're going to be dragging all that dirty air across that machine that's sitting there not doing nothing, and it's just going to start collecting all that stuff, even when it's not running. That's my opinion. What do you
Yeah,
think?
that's my biggest concern with running two-in-one enclosures. You want to efficiently move that smoke away, and the more volume you have, the more chance for that to mix and not flow properly. So, like you say, maybe a divider between the two would be the way to go.
Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate that, Brian. We'll give you a good hand on that one right there.
That there's a follow up to that. Did you see the follow up?
Yeah, I saw Brandy. Yeah, but yeah, I've talked to him, Brian. What's the guy's name? Leo. I've actually emailed with Leo, and they got me one coming. So I'll let you know, guys. Like I said, I see some very interesting innovations with it. Uh, and everything that Rich has said about it, I trust what Rich says. I think I'm gonna like it. But we will only know once it gets here. But I feel pretty confident that I will, based on the people that have told me, between Steve and not that Steve, but Hobo with Wood Steve, and Rich. I do believe it's going to be something that I like. Well, if you've got an Acer P20, you need an Acer Chuck. Like, so far, I haven't found any Chuck on the market that I like better than the
Well,
Acer Chuck. Well,
I
other
think
than
this
the
one will give
Atom,
it a run for the money.
other than the Atom Stack, which is basically a Acer Chuck, guys. All right, let me show you here. Steve, break it out for me.
Yeah. So as far as rotaries,
Oh, mine's dusty.
these
All right,
Chuck styles are really the way to go.
look,
And so
Steve, which one's Atom Stack? Which one's Acer? I bet you can't. I bet you can't tell me.
the Atom Stack is the one with the gold things on it'd be in your left hand.
Is it this one?
No, the other one.
This one's Atom Stack.
Yes.
Oh, you got lucky. It is Atom Stack. But Atom Stack and Acer, basically, they are the same identical machine, except for a few small parts. And Steve knew which part to look for, which is that little slot right there in the bottom, because the Acer doesn't have it. So he cheated because he's got one. But they're identical almost. This one, believe it or not, 160 millimeters per rotation, and this one, 160 millimeters per rotation. And since I have two of them, I have one with pins and one with the jaws. and they both got cables on them, and I just plug in to my extension that's underneath the enclosure, Zilla, whichever one I choose to use that day. And they're dirty because they stay under my enclosure in the cavity where all the nasty air goes. You cheated, Steve. You were sitting there looking at yours.
Well, honestly, I didn't see that
You didn't
the
realize they
Acer
didn't have
had
that
the
groove?
well, I didn't see that the Acer had the gold chucks as well. So that's
Yeah.
what I was looking at.
Oh, you got lucky then. The only real difference is the top and then that
Well,
slot.
well,
That's the
and the
only
color is
difference.
a little bit different, I think.
Yeah, but I think my camera's probably janky enough. It didn't show the color real good. But yeah, best laser for around 20. Now that is a very. Anytime somebody asks me this question, that is a very very personal question because it all depends on what you're planning on doing with the machine, how much room you have for it, what other peripherals you already have. There's a lot of stuff goes into considering that. There's a lot of good machines out there. But you got to figure out what you're going to be doing with it. How big of work area do you need? How much room do you have to house it? Because you may not be able to, have certain machines because of the requirement for uh, shelf space and stuff.
Well, and you also need to remember it's not just the machine you got to buy. There's usually some extras with it. A lot of them don't come with a honeycomb bed per se, so you probably don't want to buy one of those. You're either going to buy or build an enclosure as well. You might want a rotary; it doesn't come with it. So I've had some people say, "I just want to spend this much on the initial laser. I'll worry about that later." Okay, or others are like, "Hey, I want to spend this much, but I also want to get X, Y, Z.
Oh wow!
Alpha, whatever."
Oh
So
wow! You
so
gonna
that
believe
can
what I
change
just?
the as well. But also, like you say, what you're going to do with it. What are you wowing about?
The price on this thing. Uh, wow.
Going to keep us in suspense here?
Give me just a second. Give me just a second. I'm trying to. They got the combo. The combo Adam Stack combo is on sale. A cyber special. All right, so uh, here we go. All right. Apparently, Amazon has got the R1, the Adam Stack Maker R1 Chuck Pro roller and chuck on sale for $188 for both of them, which is a lot cheaper than what they were. They were like $300 a set. So
Mm.
yeah, they were
Yeah,
269 and they're down to 188. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good bargain, in my opinion. So I just dropped that. I should have dropped the link in there. I don't know if it came through or not.
I'm going to
But
drop
that's
it now.
the Atom Stack. The Atom Stack and the eights are basically the same thing. You saw the comparison. Uh,
Now, do
let me
they
see. I'll have
have,
to
because you can buy
see
just the rotary.
The IKEA, which is the same as the Atom Stack, is 279. The Whiz Maker is 289. So yeah, the looks like the R1 is the hot deal right now. I don't even see the eights or one on here. But the R1 looks like it's going to be the cheapest way to go because Atom Stack, Acer, IKEA, they're painted different colors, but it's basically the same exact part.
Well, and if you just want the chuck rotary without the roller, you can get that for 168.
Yeah.
So save you a few
Yes.
more pennies.
So there you go. There you go. Philip wants to know about converting, and that's just something I've never done. In theory, I think as long as the voltages were correct, I think you could do it. Maybe as long as it wouldn't like close circuit steppers as opposed to open. But he's wanting to know about being able to adapt a diode rotary to a CO2. Do you have any insight on that?
I mean, uh, yeah, you should be able to do it. But like you say, you got to make sure that the driver behind it is going to have the right voltage, and then it's just a matter of finding the pinout. So, they work After that, then you got to figure out the drivers. You'll have to figure out your basically your steps per rotation or your millimeters per rotation, however they're going to call it, may be different based on that driver as well. So
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole, no doubt. It's not for those who don't want to tinker.
because as a matter of fact, the P2, which uses the RA2, the same chuck as the D1 and all the others, they give you a cable, and that is one of those kind of 4-pin aviation style connectors rather than the flat um, JST style. So uh, that one's practically built into it. But there again, you just got to kind of do a little research on the controller and the driver. So.
Yep. Just make sure you get all that electrical stuff right, because you'll let the magic smoke out. And you don't want to let the magic smoke out.
Well, I
That
mean,
would be bad. All right,
sometimes you
guys,
do.
we are 1 hour into the show, and if you're still here with us and you haven't subscribed, followed, liked, or shared, please do so. We appreciate it. I got my little billboard back there trying to remind you guys. I am trying to get to that 20K. The sooner the better. I definitely want to be there by New Year's. So if y'all could help me out with that, that would be awful nice. And I think Steve's hit his 10,000, but now he's decided to push it on up to 11,000. Uh, the magic smokes the stuff inside electrical things that make stuff get done. If it ever gets out, then electrical stuff quit doing stuff. They die. Yeah,
Here,
let the genie out of the bottle.
I'm
How
gonna
about
be
that
like
one?
Clack. Here's my sign.
Oh, but yeah, Steve, he did hit the 10,000, but we've decided he's wanting to go for the bonus round now and try to hit 11.
It's the
So
stretch goal, man. The stretch goal.
yeah, so he's at 10.1. So he don't want to give up the fight, guys. So if you haven't already, go check it out. Hit that button for him.
I am actually 7 subs away from 10.2. I'll have you know.
It just says 10.1 when I look at your channel. I can't help what YouTube shows me. That's just what they're showing me.
Yeah, yeah, Jeff. That's one thing. I know a lot of manufacturers are bad, but Adam Stack, if you look into some of their advertising, and I hate this because they make some quality machines, but they play some fuzzy math with their advertising, and that input wattage is they just they needed to drop that. I mean, no one. I mean, you care if you're worrying about can my portable power supply feed it, but it doesn't mean much to most people that are shopping for lasers. The output wattage, the optical output wattage, is really what people care about. And I really wish they would just drop that input wattage as a asterisk at the bottom of the specs kind of thing. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
put that in the specs, not the
mhm,
title of the Amazon listing.
yeah, yo, um, yeah, Jeff. Now so I've used both Surmark and Brilliance, and I've had pretty good luck with both. Now, some people have made comments that Brilliance does rub off eventually if it's like scraping, like if you have something, a wallet, and your keys are scraping on it, or something in your pocket kind of thing. And honestly, I feel like that's going to be true of both. Um, the nice thing with the Brilliance marking spray is it's a lot cheaper. I think I posted it earlier this week, or I think it was in your other live. They had a deal going on for I think it was their 12-ounce can was like $35, and which was about 25% off from their normal price, which is a pretty good deal. I mean, both of them. I mean, they are expensive. I guess right now it's $39.96, but you got to remember you're using very little product each time, and a little bit goes a long way. And if you're doing this as a business, you're going to well pay for that in a few of them. So um, I I've been happy with Brilliance for most of the stuff. It's a little bit cheaper, so it might be something you want to check out. I think OhmTech also has their own branded version of it. I haven't played with that at all. but something to maybe consider.
Yeah, I think a couple of the laser companies do, but I'm not too sure they're not buying it from somebody else, just putting their label on it. I mean, you know how
Hmm.
that goes. But anyway, all right. Well, the questions have slowed down a lot, so if you got one that we've missed, drop it in there. Eddie says his 5.5 watt lasted all day on battery, but his 33 watt runs it down quickly. I could see that. I would imagine that's about on the output level. That looks like that's probably four times the at least four times the input to get that output. I would imagine.
Well, I don't know if that's quite. I mean, it could be. I was going to say a lot of the 20 to 30 watt lasers are coming with. Um, I want to say it's like 120 to 150 watt input bricks versus some of those 5 watt ones. I think were maybe 50, 60 watt input. So
Yeah.
there's definitely a difference there. Um, but and then yeah, you add any of the extra parts to it. You know, a lot of those 5 watts didn't have, you know, the air assist and anything else that you might be running with it. So definitely some things to look at. But I also some of those portable battery packs, I've seen some crazy deals, and they've been, you know, that much like these lasers, they've been the technology there just been leaping over each other. I mean, you can get them with like a 30 amp, 220 volt outlet on some of those.
William, I typically get most. I'll buy them anywhere. I'm not going to lie to you. The 6.5 foot strands of the USB lights is all you need for, say a 12-inch mirror. But you can get those at Walmart. A lot of your dollar stores sometimes will have them. But you can also get them on Amazon. And I've used a couple of different ones on from Amazon. Some of them work a little better than others, but the ones I've been getting from Walmart have done a really good job. Uh, and it's just a great value ones. Hang on, I'll show you a box of them right here. Because yes, I use enough lights, guys, that I actually have a box that is dedicated to LED lights. So these are typically what I'm putting in my mirrors, and they're great value from Walmart. So if you have a Walmart, you can get them there. If not, I mean, I guess you could order them on Walmart.com, but they're like $6 or $8 for this, and they actually come with a little remote that looks like this. So you can, if you want to change the color or make it do some weird stuff, you can do that. You can turn it off. And but usually what I do is I just have it set to like fade. Well, if I got to turn it back on first, I'll have it just set to this fade function right here, or jump. Jump's kind of the flashy one, but the remote works really well. But when you put the lights together, make sure you leave the little IR receiver outside the frame. I did that once and it didn't work. But yeah, I guess I got other lights in here too.
Are those the extreme lit 6 foot ones that you're talking about?
Are you looking at a product number?
Well, I'm just trying to find them on Walmart's.
I was going to give you a SKU if I can find it. 02969 is the last part of the name. It's just a tape light, LED tape light, USB powered. Great value brand. I saw them on Walmart site the other day, so I'm pretty sure they're still there. But those have worked pretty well for me. I've used other cheap brands. I mean, literally just go on to Amazon and type 6.5 foot LED USB lights, and you can find them. The cool thing about them is in a portable landscape, if they're USB powered, if you're doing an event or if you've got it, let's say you got it hanging outside at like on your back patio and you don't want to run power to it, you can literally take and put a little power supply for your phone, connect it to it or whatever, and they'll run for hours on just a little phone backup power power battery or whatever. There you
Is it this one?
go. I can't say. Where's the packaging?
It's like that.
Yeah, that looks like it. It says 6.5 foot. That's probably going to be it.
Yeah, it's they're actually only $5.
Okay, well,
that's a pretty good price.
yeah. So
If you, I mean, you still have to do the whole go to Walmart thing.
oh, is that not online though?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because see, my
But
wife does the grocery pickup, and she orders stuff from Walmart.com. So I just assumed you could order from Walmart.com if you wanted to.
yeah, no, they have them at my local Walmart, but I try my hardest not to go there. So
Jeff says he tries the Omtech spray, tried the Omtech spray, and it just made a mess.
interesting. Some of them do take, they like a higher power than not. But I found that with Brilliance, even on most 10-watt diodes, I've been able to get it to work. So,
No, that Brian, there is no update on Brandy Barn on the Brandy Barn. She has been threatening to take over my shack, but she ain't yet. So we'll see. Well, Beaver, I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, just remember 160 millimeters per rotation is the setting for that one. It should be in the book. Their book tells you that. But if you forget, you can ask me because I've got it. I used the fiber laser and tattooed it to the top of all my rotaries, what their rotations are. Uh, uh, yeah, William, somebody, I guess William asked a question about my mirrors. Oh, he's asking about the lights. But yeah, the mirrors, I did a couple of videos on mirrors, guys, and I promise I'm going to take a break from mirrors for a little while. But I got so much flack because I did a 12-inch mirror and nobody with the smaller machines could cut the frame out that I had to go back and do a 10-watt or 10-inch so that you could do it on 11.5-inch work area so that, people with Glowforge and S1s and We Creates would be able to do them as well. So that's the reason I did 2 videos. It was an oversight on my part. I apologize. I was walking through Lowe's, saw mirrors. I didn't think about it, so I went back and got the 10-inch and did them also. Midnight there, midnight. If you'll go to my channel, I just dropped 2 videos on mirrors, and I go through the whole process with you as far as power and speed. But I strongly recommend that you do your own power and speed test because there may be some variables that I haven't accounted for. But you can use my results to kind of get your start and stop for your speed test. And do it from the back side, but you got to flip your image. A lot of people have been
so,
afraid that the laser is going to bounce back and hit them or something, but I
so,
do it from the back.
so ET, I'll go to a Walmart in about any other town. It's just our local one is about the most redneckish Walmart I have seen, and
Hey,
I've gone to a lot of I've gone to a lot of Walmarts while I'm traveling around. I just avoid the one here in town. Just it's I hate the parking lot. The layout inside the store is horrible. We're a huge college town, so you've got usually drunk college students. It's just chaotic. I'll order online, and anytime I've gone in there to look for something, I've always ended up disappointed. So I avoid our local Walmart. I love them when I'm on the road. I go shopping when I'm on the road at Walmart all the time. It's just our local one here I avoid.
Steve, you're
Yes.
not allowed to use redneck as a derogatory term.
Okay. So
That is not always a derogatory term.
um, you
But
know
I know what you're saying though. I mean, it's
when
like Walmart draws some really really unique people out.
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm feeling like I'm missing the clack, I'll just go to Walmart, I guess.
Well, now, like I said, there are some people in there that kind of catch me off guard too. So I'm not going to
I'll
say
tell
that,
you. I'm telling you.
but I've been called a redneck on more than one occasion. But nobody wants to be around a redneck until something tears up. And then they're like, "Hey, go find a redneck." Because I mean, we can literally fix anything. A roll of duct tape, a couple of pieces of wire. We got you back on the
So,
road.
uh, yeah, Brian. Minnesota redneck's different than Southern redneck.
Okay. Now we got some folks that like from the hills. We got some of them down here that don't wear shoes, but I'm not one of them. Brian said he used to be an assistant manager. Hey, Brian, now I'm going to tell you, Walmart has changed a lot, though, in 10 years. I don't know how long it's been, but it has changed a lot. I'll give them that.
All
Uh,
downhill.
let's see. What I got to get caught up. Man, I keep getting behind on comments. Yeah, Brandy said, careful, I resemble that remark. ET said the same thing. I hear you, ET. Yeah. we we got to make sure he ain't trying to hit at it, take a whack at us over there. Da, 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 da.
So Lakeside's asking about using real cherry wood, engraving or burning photos. Yeah, the D1 Pro 20 watt, and I've done I've done more vector based stuff. I don't know that I've done real photo stuff. Cherry does burn really dark, but you got to also remember cherry is going to darken as it's exposed to sunlight and such. So kind of what you initially have might get muted over time as it gets that UV light and darkens up a bit. I love it for how well it engraves. You can get a really nice dark engraving out of it. So um, possibly doing a little playing with that will help out. But it's also depends on how cheaply you can get your cherry wood and you want to do some experiments with it. But
Yeah, I've milled some cherry and engraved it. It engraves good, and it smells good when you're engraving it too. It actually has almost like a, I don't know, some kind of dessert dish smell. It doesn't smell like cherries, but it still smells pretty decent when you burn it. Jim wants to know if they have boiled peanuts up there, Steve. If they run around Walmart with a thing full of
no,
boiled
we don't
peanuts.
ruin our peanuts up here. We salt them, we
Uh,
roast them, sometimes dip them in honey.
Epic. I don't have an F1, but I will say this: when you talk about commercial use, as in like a production facility, I don't think that's what the F1 was intended for. But on the same note, the F1 doesn't cost you $30,000. The F1, as far as being able to use it to make money, you can make money with a spoon if you know how to do it. It's all about being able to afford it. None of us is going to go pay $30,000 for a fiber laser because we're not doing these big commercial jobs. But you can make money with most any tool. I mean, I know guys that's got a push mower and a gas can and they make money. They just go from house to house cutting yards. You don't have to have all the fanciest tools to make money. Now, if you're going to try to turn out, 3,000 engraved pocket knives a day, you're going to need something other than an F1. But I think the word commercial, what he's referring to, probably is for like sure enough, getting after it production. That's not what these big companies are going to choose as an F1. They're gonna choose one of these big, sure enough, like a Thunder fiber or something like that that you can just 120-watt fiber that takes a 220 outlet. I mean, that's more what I think of when they say commercial use. But you could make money with it. Brian,
Yeah,
you can do it. There's a lady on YouTube that has two spoons, and I point you to her. She makes a killing.
I think you really hit it there. It depends on your definition of commercial, and I think what the F1 was really targeted at is a portable laser to take to craft shows, events, things like that. That is really its kind of that's where it shines. Um, and it also depends on what you're doing. I mean, you can throw a lot of power at a project that doesn't need that much, and is it going to go any faster than the F1 running at full power? Uh, it really, again, it goes back to what you're considering commercial. The other thing to consider is there are certain things that are rated for 8, 10, 12-hour long days of continuous operation, whereas others, even, I mean, Clax pushed his dials pretty hard, but you even have to take breaks to clean them midday. You're not going a 10-hour day burning without maybe stopping and at least wiping a few things down per
No,
se.
you have to do a little in between maintenance if you want to
Yeah,
keep it
so
going.
it, and I end up having this argument with people at work all the time because they want us to put digital signage and displays in. They're like, well, I can just go to Best Buy or Walmart and get a monitor for $99 right now. I'm like, yeah, and those are residential displays that are meant for like 2 to 4 hours of occasional use in a day, not being on 12 hours a day displaying things. It's going to burn out quickly. So it and there are just some people who feel that they'd say the same thing about diodes. You can't run a business off of diode lasers. Well, David's proved that wrong. He's made a lot of good use out of his diodes. He's kept busy and has had some pretty big jobs out of it. So
Yeah, now
Is it
there were
sometimes
times that I was questioning my
well,
judgment.
and that's it. You sometimes have to get creative. Sometimes you do. It's not necessarily the most efficient, but like you've mentioned before, you don't have $10,000 wrapped up into a large, you know, 48-inch by 36-inch, 160-watt laser to do the job that you can do with
Yeah.
20 diodes sitting in your shack.
Yeah, me and Brandy seriously the other day, guys, and I should have took some more pictures. I took a few, but me and Brandy were sitting here. I had the 36 L36. I had the longer B1. I had the xTool S1, all cutting like for 3 or 4 days straight. And me and Brandy sat at this table right here, gluing, aligning, and then I had to fit check every piece I made because it was actually designed to hold something. So I had to fit check it, make sure it passed my quality controls, sand it, blow the dust off of it, take them outside, polyacrylic them. I mean, it was an operation. It took us like 4 days, but it had me questioning. I told Brandy, I said, man, I think this would be easier if I had one of those big machines. And she's like, yeah, but how many times a year would you really need it? And it's just true. I mean, yes, that week it would have made a huge difference, but then this week it'd just be sitting over there getting dust on it. So that's kind of there's this little thing in business called overhead. The less overhead you have, the profit that you make goes a little further. So it's 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 all a matter of perspective. But for the guys, for whoever it was a while ago, Chris or whoever asked me how to make money with a spoon, Chris, I present to you Abby the Spoon Lady. Abby has 505,000 subscribers. She plays the spoons. Her videos have 2.9, 802, 160,000 views. Abby has figured out how to take spoons and make money. So there you have it. There you go. And it is awesome. I listen to it a lot of times. She I don't know how she does it. I have watched the videos to try to see if maybe there's some manipulation, but the lady holds two spoons and can make music that will blow your mind. But yeah, she's taken a spoon and made money. So there you go. Whoever it was questioned me that you couldn't make money with a spoon.
I don't know. Sounds a bit redneck.
Now I ain't gonna say she ain't from the hills of Kentucky or somewhere. I think she's from one of the Carolinas. But now she's from the mountains, no doubt. I mean, you could look at her and listen to her and tell, heard her people from the mountains. But they got skills.
All right, I've seen this one come by a couple times, Mark, and he's asking. Mark's asking the impression of the air assist on the IKEA Pro Max 48 watt. Is it comparable to Shop Air? So the IKEA 48 watt has the same pump as the Atom Stack 20 and 30, and it's that bigger box, that dual pump. It's got the dial on it, and it's about one of the best air pumps I've seen delivered with any of the diodes. And it does put out some decent air. They've got the kind of the thicker hose with it. It's not a tiny 3 millimeter or whatever. It's a good quarter-inch 6 mil tube there. So it's pretty good. I didn't feel that it was lacking in that regards. Could you do better with Shop Air? Yeah, it gives you a little more flexibility. You can dial it in a little bit better, and might be just a touch more consistent. But I didn't feel like it was hurting for it. I mean, if you watch my video, the speeds I was getting out of that one were very impressive, and the fact that I was able to cut 3/4 inch clear aspen at a semi-reasonable speed and in one pass. That's one of my complaints about a lot of these manufacturers is that they like, oh, you can cut through 56 millimeter acrylic in one pass, and well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's making it molten plastic, and eventually it gets through there. Where when I realistically try to replicate those, I end up doing multiple passes just to get it in a clean look. This one did it. I think it was 175 millimeters a minute, a single pass, full air, and it was a fairly clean cut. So, yeah, I think the air assist is doing a pretty good job on that one with just the stock pump.
Yeah. Well, Super Duty, make sure you tell Brandy that. Super Duty says you can certainly run a business with a single diode, definitely with a two, some skills, and a camper. So if I had two diode lasers in a camper, I could definitely make some money. Brandy, are you listening? So we just had that. We've been having that camper discussion because I got to have a camper to come see Steve.
Um, Jim, I haven't played around with Romark multicolor sheets. I did do a lot when I was demonstrating at the Minnesota Woodworkers Expo. I had the F1 just running pretty much the whole time, and it was using those aluminum business cards, and I was doing my logo, my QR code, and all that stuff. And it would do one in about a minute, and so that gives you any kind of idea what's capable with those. It was pretty quick on engraving those, and was able to keep those moving. How about this one? Jeff's wondering about wearing out a diode module.
Not more any modules. I've messed up a couple of boards, but I've cracked a few lenses. I went through a couple of lenses the other day because my dirt, which I fixed a remedy to that. I found out that that intake filter was stopped up, but my air compressor started spitting water all over everything, and I popped a couple of it. It cost me about, I don't know, two lenses, but yeah. Well,
Um,
you want to drop that because I know me and you got the exact same air compressor.
well, I was not going to jump to that one yet. It was just this one.
Oh,
Do you run your diode at 100% or something less? So I know we've talked about this in the past. My take on it is unless I'm not confident in the manufacturer in balancing their electronics, as long as you're keeping it clean and keeping good airflow across it, I run mine at 100%. You can back it off and run it at 60%, but now your job is going to take exponentially longer. And so what you're giving up in sheer power, you're adding to the hours to do the same job. So I feel like you're going to deplete it X amount in that job, whether you run it at full power or half power for twice as long. And that's kind of my take on it. Um, you know, that with CO2s, you have to kind of make sure that you're not overdriving the tube, and you really need to put that in check as far as the milliamp rating for it. These diodes also, they want to be, they need that airflow going over them. As long as you have some clean air going through and you're keeping that, and you occasionally, dust out, it shouldn't be bad. A lot of them are rating these things at 10,000 hours or more. And so it's going to take you a long time. I think something like 7 years of running at 8 hours a day to meet that 10,000 hours. So chances are by the time you get to that point, it was either faulty to begin with, or you're going to have outgrown it and probably moved into something newer anyway.
yeah, I haven't had any problems with as far as the modules, the diodes going bad, and that whole running at less. I mean, do you turn your lights on at 50% to save the light bulbs? I mean,
Well,
do you,
no.
do you? I mean, I'm just asking. Do you drive your car half the speed limit so that it lasts longer? I don't because, like you said, I'm trying to get as much work out of these machines as I can, and if I can maximize my production, maximizes my revenue, which makes me able to go ahead and you know buy the machine.
All right. So I think this is one you were alluding to, the small air compressor.
Which one is it? The one me and you've got? Yeah.
So
Do you want to drop that? You got yours in the shop. Mine's outside hooked up. I can't. I'm using it right now.
this one's not small, but I can pick it up. This is
And
a
I
eight
can
gallon.
and I can vouch that as long as you show the filter. By the way, show the filter. See that little? Well, you ain't Steve. You don't got the filter on yours. What are you thinking?
I don't run it in a dirty shop.
You got dust in there. Oh, you're just blood. You're gonna blow that up.
What?
There's supposed to be a filter over there by your left arm, sticking out the end of it. A black canister that screws into one of those holes right there.
Well,
Somebody forgot to put it together.
I don't think mine came with one.
Oh, well. Well, anyway, that's the same air compressor that I am currently running since the death of my large air compressor that I had. And I can tell you that I have run two machines for like 6 hours a day, and it's done a good job. I could turn it on and run one machine, and it'll cut on every now and then and cut back off. But no, it is not very loud at all. Now, this is what you're looking for, Steve. This is
Yeah, it's on this one.
okay.
This right there.
This is supposed to screw in. If this stops up, though, I'm telling you guys, if this stops up, it will start spitting water everywhere because there's this little filter inside here. But I ordered an 8 pack of filters and I ordered 2 extra holders. I'm gonna build myself an intake manifold for it, so that I don't have to worry about this happening again.
So the one I showed you first, the California Air Tools, that one goes for about $200. You can get it on Amazon and or most tool stores. Otherwise, this is it's a 1.8 gallon. They make like 2 gallon versions. This is the Menards version of it. Harbor Freight has their version of it as well. Those work okay, but they run out a lot faster. I just got myself really dusty.
Well, I think the question is how loud are they? I don't
Well,
know that
all of
one's going to
these-
beat the California Air, is it?
Yeah, they're all. So all of these are. All right. So I got to show you this then. What does it say on there?
Well, it says ultra quiet, but you know,
All of these are
some of
fairly
these
quiet.
lasers also say 120 watt. They aren't.
All right, fine. We can do this. Can you hear it running?
I heard it kick on for a second there.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I hear it now.
Yeah, purring like a kitten.
Yeah,
So,
but both of those are oil freeze, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have switched to only getting these ultra quiet ones. See if the California Air Tools is going to turn on.
It doesn't have a filter on it. Wrong button. It's the red lever.
I gotta take some air out of the pump. There. So that one's actually a little bit louder.
The air was louder.
See?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But to answer your question, I don't think either one of them would drive you out of there. Mine is outside the wall, like right behind where I'm sitting. It's like literally a few feet right there, and I've got it outside under a little canopy to keep it out of the rain, and I can't hardly hear it running in here when it's on. And I will say this too, they actually build up a pretty good bit of pressure. So even though it's only an 8 gallon, if you're siphoning that off for an air assist, and that's all you're using it for is that, and occasionally blowing some sawdust out of stuff, you're not going to overpower it. I did balance the pressure in my truck tires the other day. Does a good job on stuff like that. So if you're just needing it to blow stuff off, run air assist, I ran the other day when I was testing the Atom Stack, I ran 3 machines off of it, and it was still cutting off occasionally. So I know it will run 2 to maybe even 3 machines without any problem if you've got your air assist adjusted properly. That's the California Airs, the one I've got also.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend actually run their very large laser using that one of those for the air assist as well. So it's very flexible.
Oh, I missed something. I see her. She's chiming in. Brandon. He's not encouraging me. He's just letting me know that it works. How many hours do you do before cleaning the lens? Well, midnight. That's going to depend on what you're cutting. If you're going to run it for 2 or 3 hours, I would at least just take it off and just kind of visually inspect it, see if it's dirty. If it's not, put it back on, go back again. But if you start seeing any kind of buildup on there, it needs to be cleaned. Some materials are worse than others. Your air assist setup may not be as effective as mine. It all comes down to the air assist effectiveness, your smoke extraction effectiveness, the type of material. All those things are going to vary on how often that lens gets dirty. Me and you could have the same exact machine. If your machine's enclosure doesn't have adequate airflow, you're going to need to clean yours a lot more often than I do. So it's always a good idea to just get a feel for your own machine and just go in there every now and then between jobs. pull the module up and check it and just visually look at it and see, is it getting dirty. If the cone's getting really dirty, there's a good chance that the lens is. I always try to clean the cone every time I clean the lens. That way I can use that little cone tip as kind of a gauge of how much debris is going upward during the work.
So Lee was asking about the extension on the 8 through 36, and that should. I think you're running one of these nibbles.
Yeah, I don't know if you can find those anymore. Klein bought one the other day that was a different brand because he couldn't find one of those.
Yeah, they actually had a sale on them this weekend. I came across. Otherwise, there's another company called Geekbee that has a similar one. That they're both of them are long enough for that, and should work fine. I'm just not sure about the feet on there. If they'll sit on the honeycomb, or if you're going to have to work around it. Some of them you have to kind of jig it up a little bit, but
the which one? Which machine?
The 8 or 36.
No, it'll set inside the legs. The nibble will.
So this is yep. Hold on a second. I will grab this.
It looks like that.
Is
Did you
another
say
option.
Dofiki was the one that you're looking at? That you're talking about?
No, here I'll put it in my chat. The Geekbee one
Oh,
is
wait, here's
a
the
decent
nibble.
one.
They do have it back in stock.
Yeah.
It's $129 for Cyber Monday.
So the one I just linked from Geekbee, they actually sent me one. I did an Amazon review on it, and it worked great. They have like this weird painted coating on it that's supposed to help reduce the amount of buildup. I don't think that does anything, but right now it's $125 minus $30 coupon, so you can get it for just under $100. And it comes with a aluminum backer sheet. They even threw in some like extra little materials. I think I got a few of the aluminum business cards and such with it. So there are definitely some options out there. Right now, you should be able to find them for a little under $100, and it'd be one solid bed. Now, you may need to support it in the middle just a little bit, at least on the rails. Otherwise, they're definitely going to have a little bit of sag. And you do want to have some airflow moving under them. So,
Yeah, I use magnets. They're actually little cheap welding magnets, and I know you guys are a fan of Harbor Freight. You can buy a little pack of welding magnets that are like basically clamped to a piece of metal for welding, and they're about a ½ inch thick. And I lay them flat under my machines, and they're coated, so you're going to be able to knock the coating off of them. But that's what I end up putting under mine. And I'm going to show y'all right quick. Y'all are asking about the nibble and how it sits on the Hster. This is the V36. This is an enclosure Zilla. We got the V36 riding on the nibble, and you can tell you can tell the shapes I've been cutting for the past few weeks. But there it is right there. So it's plenty of area, but as you can see, it actually fits inside the machine. So like the honeycomb is narrower than the legs, so you don't have to worry about it necessarily rising on top of it. Oh, that's not really an issue. So there you go. But anyway, back over to where I was. Oh, Steve, you're on the wrong side. But I've been running that honeycomb ever since I built Enclosure Zilla, and it works good. I have had to clean it several times, but I've got mine spaced up about a ½ inch, and I've got magnets in the middle of it as well on this one.
and Lee was also asking about the safety acrylic, and that's JTech Botanics is a good place for that. Best price I found in the U.S. anyway. You got to add some shipping, and depending on how far you are from Texas, that can be expensive or not. So maybe phone a friend and grab some extra. panels, but that stuff's rated optical density of 3. They actually test it because you get it. They'll have the corner peeled back because they've actually run the test to see how much it's actually filtering. So that's the stuff that I've used and trust the most over, random stuff you find that may or may not do something.
Yeah, here's these little magnets, but they're not the cheapest method, but this is what I've got in this enclosure to the left over here. So if anybody's interested, you can get them at, like I said, Harbor Freight has the same thing, and they got like a big pack of them. Tractor Supply, Walmart, a lot of places sell them, I think. But it's just magnets with a piece of coated metal on either side of them, which makes them a little bit thicker. And I just lay them under there, and they kind of adhere to the honeycomb a little bit, and holds everything together.
You really want me to go to Walmart, don't you?
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't want to go to Harbor Freight,
I'd rather go to Harbor Freight than Walmart.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of people hang out at Harbor Freight. And you seem to be a little sensitive about who shops there.
About the same people, but it's a smaller store, and I can get in and out. Hey, what I think I mentioned this before. We literally had someone drive their car into Walmart, and they didn't stop. They went like all the way to the back of the store.
Well, I mean, they said they put in a drive-through.
They did not say they put. I mean, nope.
Oh gosh, why is my chat messing up? Oh, my chat's messed up again, Steve. It's gonna time me out.
It does that sometimes when you post links. It's just
they need to fix that. I need to file a complaint with Restream.
You should.
I can't see the comments right now, so
you should go full Karen. Full Karen.
You're gonna have to help me out with comments because I can't see anything.
All right. Well, everybody doesn't like you,
there they
and
they're coming back. All right, guys. We're getting close to the end of the show. Much as I'd love to stay and hang out with you guys later, it is getting late. I do have a tendency to start turning into a pumpkin and yawning a lot if I stay up too late nowadays for some reason. Something about getting older.
Yeah, that's it.
But anyway, if you got any questions, if we've missed anything, guys, feel free, drop it in there again. I mean, it's not going to hurt my feelings because it's hard, especially when, like right now, my comments are broke. It's hard to keep up sometimes. Oh, wait a minute. Did that? There they, my gosh. Woo, Lord, when it rains, it pours. Now I'm never going to get caught up. It was just like, let me see. We're okay. Yeah, Super Duty. I've got aluminum angle iron under my the way that I've got mine mounted in enclosure Zilla. I had to use some. I don't know if it's aluminum. I had to use some angle iron to make a frame on top of my lift bed, and then I set the piece of sheet metal in there, and then I put the magnets. The magnets in here are actually glued with epoxy to the top of that metal to space it up. But well, Lee, Steve, this guy said it's got to be you, but says you causing him to spend too much money. But it's Christmas. Just write things down and put them on your Christmas list. Email them to your wife or whatever.
Santa brought it.
ET, it was the Nivel is the one that I used, and I dropped a link down below. That's the one that I showed you that's in enclosure Zilla over there. Oh, here's another question. And yes, we did both get that. Correct? Am I not correct in that?
Yeah. I don't know about the IR laser fitting onto it because it has a different mount than their typical bracket. So
yeah, it's a whole different machine. They've reinvented the whole thing.
But yeah, I mean, looking at an IR, for a module-based open gantry, IR laser, having the smaller one like the A24 that actually has some pretty good white space speed to it would be really good. So it'd be nice to be able to do that. But
yeah. Somebody's asking about my filters. Let's see here. Who asked?
Yeah. I'm not sure if you're talking about the Bauer or the Hercules. I've got the Bauer one. I'm actually going to be putting on the very nice large Genmitsu 6050 CNC router that David doesn't have. So I'm going to be hopefully doing that over winter break. But I've also heard good things about the Hercules brand, and that they might be even coming out with another one. So I think I got this one. They had it on sale a few weeks ago. I think I got this for like $45. So for a simple router to replace the stock spindle on those Genmitsus, that's a steal. So
Hazy's is change brushes in it.
hey, I mean, how much a brush is going to cost if I can get this for $45? Or you get the replacement plan. They're pretty good about taking these things back. So
Uh-oh, my thing's messing up because you're froze with the weirdest smile on your face and your eyes closed.
uh-oh. Can you hear me
Yeah.
still?
I'm gonna quit I'm gonna quit posting stuff in the comments, especially as a reply, because it is not liking it tonight. I have somebody. I saw somebody ask me about my enclosure. Lee, if you go to my channel and search for enclosure Zilla, or you can just type the word Zilla, Zillan, you should be able to find that video, and it's a walkthrough of of how I got it set up and everything. Uh, but it's unique. It is different. Well, okay, looks like everything started back working.
Hmm.
Or most everything. Oh, maybe I got too many browser windows open. Let me close some of this stuff down. Maybe it's just not liking it.
Well,
But
are you using Chrome?
well, yeah.
Because yeah, browser, it's a hog on memory.
Well, it is, but I like it. But the thing about EnclosureZilla, and I'll let me flip over here where I can show you my machine. This is the thing that a lot of people don't know about EnclosureZilla. Is it's very similar to a lot of what you would call larger machines. Be as it if I wanted to engrave something tall, the bed goes down. So now if I wanted to do something on the rotary, like I said, a rotary out here, and I can raise it back up. So that's the big thing with this enclosure is it is set up to where I've got a max engraved depth of like 12 inches, I think it is. So anything 12 inches, I can lower the bed down, and I don't have to remove anything. I don't have to do nothing to it, but just lower it down and then put it back up when I'm done. So I lower that down. That out of there. And then go back up. And so I can go all the way back up to max depth. And the one other reason that I built this machine, and you'll notice those little 4 brackets that are in the corner, that is for my stove cover designs. So I'll show you how that works. I've got a little piece over here, a test piece. So with my stove cover designs, all I have to do is I take the, let me turn it around, this way looks better. I can take them and insert them like this and drop them in there. And it's actually jigged. If you can see these little corner brackets right here, it actually holds it in the center. So when I open my Lightburn file up, I don't have to do any kind of finding the center or anything. I just send the burn, and it is always exactly where it needs to be. So there you go. That's how that works. And it's a little noisy when you fire that eighthser up. But there we go. Back again. My audio go out when I swapped over to that?
No.
Okay. You got quiet. I thought maybe it did. But yeah, I've got a full video on the build and the upgrades and all that good stuff if you want to look at it. And if you're a member of the laser engraving community page, there's a real generic SketchUp of how this enclosure works. But yeah, anytime if you just want to type keyword enclosure Zilla or just Zilla on my channel, I've got a couple of videos. I've also got a couple of them about the chuck setup that I have, because I also have a quick switch in there that I can flip the switch and go from flat engraving over to chuck rotary without having to unplug and plug up anything. But yeah, this is my workhorse, guys. When somebody brings me an ammo can or a jewelry box or shadow box or something like that, this is my go-to machine. This machine does good on flat stuff and thin stuff, but this machine was purpose built to basically act as a large CO2 without the expense, because I think I spent $125 on that bed lift mechanism that's in there, and it has paid for itself. I did like 6 ammo cans the other day that if I hadn't had this setup, I'd have had to get a machine out and block it up to be able to do them. So it just makes things so much faster. But anyway, that's it. That's why I call it Enclosure Zilla, because it's a beast. Rawr. But yeah, but it is a game changer when it comes to diodes. Not very many diode lasers out there with a lift bed. I can honestly say I've looked and I haven't found many. The We Create they kinda tried to do it, but it ain't the same. They got nowhere near the work area.
That lifts the gantry instead of the bed.
Yeah, but it's still it ain't got the work area that thing's got. Anyway, guys, hour and 51 minutes. So. Yes, my stove covers are 22. They're actually 22 and a half by 30 and a half. But the way that I've got it set up to go in there works perfect. The inside between those little mountain brackets is 22 inches. The whole width of that machine, now the workspace is not that big, but the whole width of that machine I think is 24. Let me check. All right, from inside of rail to inside of rail is 23 and a half inches and a little change. So inside of the rail to inside the rail is 23 and a half, basically. Like right there to right there, you're looking at a little over 23. 23, probably like 23 and 5/8. So, but yeah, that is why, guys, when I complain about these manufacturers that's making these 40-watt machines only having a 400 by 400, that's why. Because I make several stove covers a week, and I cannot do without this size work area unless I had like a pass-through built into my enclosure, which I don't want to do. And the extra added width also allows me to run faster speeds when I'm engraving, because I have a bigger work area. Therefore, the overscan can, have a little bit more room to slow down when I'm doing, even if I'm doing something smaller. But yeah.
Now the two side rails, those hold it all together. The other 3 boards, you don't joint those before?
Do what now?
On your stove covers, because you have like
cheat.
three pieces.
Oh no! I used to. I used to take and make my own off the sawmill, but as orders started coming in, I couldn't keep up with production without and it was costing me way too much time to do them that way. Clayton Homes didn't care what they were made from, so I have started using hobby pine boards from Lowe's.
Okay. So
they're already glued up for me.
Cool.
And so I get a hobby board and 2 hobby boards and 2 1x4s, nice 1x4 pine, not spruce, and hey, does a good job. And keeps my costs down.
So do you finish them before engraving or after?
After.
So I guess what I'm getting at,
I finish them after I engrave them. I engrave them straight off. Straight as soon as I get them sanded up, I put them in there and engrave them. Yeah, I've got some videos on that.
So I'm just curious. The S1, that's got a pass-through conveyor, right? Kind of like the P2?
They have one. I don't have one.
Well, I'm just curious. Is that wide enough?
Probably, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the fact that they're stationary, and it would take me a while to trust that with that much. You know what I mean?
I'm
The
just curious.
the
I'm just
conveyor
curious.
idea is a good idea,
Uh,
but my luck's a cat would jump up on it, or somebody would bump it, and it would mess it up. I'm that's and by the time I do that, it's too much work involved, too much materials for me to be chancing it. But yeah. But now I use
mhm.
those pine hobby boards. They're already basically they're little strips of pine. They've already glued them together. Now you have to be selective. You have to kind of be picky. Take your time when you're picking them out at the hardware store. The ones I get come wrapped in plastic, so that usually
Mhm.
guarantees that they're not going to be completely wet. But they usually get to spend about a week in the kiln just making sure with some weight on top of them. That, then they come in, two cuts on the panel, two cuts on the boards for the sides, sanding and gluing, and we're off, to a stone cover.
Yeah, they sell those at Menards and I think Home Depot. Um,
Yeah.
I don't. My local Lowe's is an hour away, so I rarely shop there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I know what you're talking
Lowe's
about.
is the cheapest place to get them right now. They've got them for like $18 a panel.
Mhm. You know, when
Just
I
big
was
enough to
in
do that
that
with.
one, they I was looking at like their plywood project panels and such, and they just didn't. I don't know if it was just a. It was the week before Black Friday, so they probably were um, worried more
Yeah.
about their sale stuff than normal merchandise. But it just seemed like they didn't have a lot there at the time.
Yeah.
We used to have a local Lowe's here in town, and I loved going there because they had a decent selection of things, but they were just kind of in the wrong spot. They weren't right next to Home Depot, Menards, and Fleet Farm like Fleet Farm, Menards, and Home Depot are.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's everybody's market's different too. I think a lot of the times the Lowe's basically stocks what they sell, and if they don't sell it, they're not going to stock it. So some Lowe's may or may not have the same stuff.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
it's the same thing as Home Depot because I know I put out that video on the project panels you can buy at Home Depot, and people are like, well, you could just have them cut down the bigger sheets. I'm like, yes, but they don't sell the bigger sheets. They don't sell that actual material at my Home
yeah,
Depot, which is nice. They don't charge you for shipping them to me, but
yeah.
yeah, yeah, Jim, that was what I was looking for when I was there last week. Is those mini Cobalt toolboxes? But they had a nice little sign up there that says, "Sorry, we're out of stock of these. Check back closer to Black Friday." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, it is hour and 57 minutes. Some of you's already checked out, and it's about that time for me to check out as well. But if it's your first time coming and you've hung in with us this long, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Check us out next week. So far, we haven't missed a Sunday, have we? I think you were out of town one Sunday and didn't have any service.
yeah."
So, but other than
I
that,
was
we
at
haven't
Mount
missed a Sunday.
Rushmore. I
Yeah.
was in the chat, but I couldn't. I didn't have enough signal to actually hop in and say hey. But no,
Yeah.
yeah, we've been going strong.
Yeah, but we're always open to questions, comments, and try to help you guys get some good information. I hope maybe somebody that was looking for something found what it was they were looking for on sale. And like I said, the stuff that me and Steve refer to you guys, it's things that we have. Like I said, you can see his compressor. Mine's outside, but we have the exact same compressor. And so if it's something that we've used for a little while and we trust it, Now we can't promise it's going to last 10 years because I don't think Steve's had his for 10 years. But so far, it's done him a good job. But anyway, guys, we appreciate it. And like I said, I guess that's going to be it for tonight. What you got to close out on, Steve? Any upcoming events or anything?
Uh no, I've there was a local art craft vendor fair here in town. I just went as an attendee. It was kind of nice to walk through, but most of my stuff is just going to be here online, putting out some videos. We're going to be rapidly approaching Christmas, so I'm sure there'll be lots of projects there. I've got to come up with stuff for my staff at work. I usually make them something along with giving them some candy treats and maybe a gift card somewhere and such. So I got to figure out what I'm going to be making for my staff this year as gifts as well. So if anybody's got great ideas, definitely hit us up
Hey, I
in the
gave you a
group or
good.
whatnot.
I gave you a good idea last night. We discussed it. That would be great for an office gift. A logo. Huh? Yeah.
Perhaps, but
School
no.
mascot.
Yeah, like I said earlier, if you're subscribed to me, you've been watching me, and you haven't checked out this awesome redneck Southern guy that's here with me. I've got the link in my description. Go ahead, hit them up, and give him that sub because we want to get him to 20K here by Christmas time. Otherwise,
Oh, yeah.
we'll be cranking out more content, trying to dive into more of my projects and such. But definitely, there's a few more product type reviews coming. But as we've mentioned, we're trying to temper those a little bit so we can, we both want to be getting back into our creative side as well. They hit us up with a bunch of stuff right around Black Friday and Christmas time, so we pick and choose a little bit. But yeah, generally when we're sending you links, and I hate being too salesy, but if I find something good, I'd like to share the information. So that's where we're at. But appreciate everyone watching the videos, commenting on them, sharing them out as you do. So keep doing that, and yeah, we'll see you in our videos. Otherwise, we'll see you back here next week.
All right. And on your redneck comment, I'm going to leave you with this, Steve. See y'all later, guys.